guys, it is Tiny Little Whispers ASMR. So I have another true crime case for you guys today because I know you absolutely love those. But I wanted to start out today's video just by going over my normal spiel at this point in time. So if you have not already subscribed to this channel, but you do enjoy the videos, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button, as we are looking for 5,000 subscribers before we revamp my Patreon account. And when we revamp the Patreon account, we plan on posting lots of videos for you guys and giving different tiers of rewards. Right now, we just aren't able to devote the time to both things, but having that higher subscriber count should help. So thank you guys so much for watching my videos, and I really am truly blessed to have as many subscribers as I already do. And we're over halfway there, so we're going to make it soon. Alright, so let's get started with the video. And actually, one more thing. Today was probably the first day where it truly felt like fall here in Middle Tennessee, and I absolutely loved it. So to celebrate, I'm wearing a fall sweater. And we have our orange. It looks a little red on camera, but it's pumpkin orange blanket in the background here. And so yeah, I've got some fun videos planned for you guys coming up. I still haven't abandoned the Enneagram videos. Those just take a lot of time for research, and that's been a bit difficult just with some job-related changes for me recently. So, now let's talk about today's true crime case. And today we're going to be discussing the facts of Katelin Akens. So Katelin was 19 years old, and she lived in Arizona with her fiance named Amber. Amber and Katelin had met back in Virginia when they were growing up. They lived about 50 miles outside of Washington, D.C. in Spotsylvania County. Amber ended up moving away, but Amber and Katelin kept up their friendship, and their friendship eventually turned into a relationship, and Katelin moved out to Arizona just after she had graduated high school. So at this point, Katelin was 19 years old, still living with her fiance in Arizona when her older sister, Gabrielle, ended up having a child. So Kaitlyn decided that it would be the perfect time to go back home to Spotsylvania County in Virginia. Kaitlyn ended up going back home just for a short visit. She had originally planned on staying for a longer period of time, but she found that she was starting cosmetology school back in Arizona on December 7th of 2015. Her start date at school had kind of been up in the air at one point. Kaitlyn ended up staying in Virginia from December 1st through December 5th. She wanted to spend most of her time at home hanging out with her family, as well as catching up with a few friends. While she was at home, she also had to pick up her high school diploma since she had graduated early and it was not ready for her on her graduation day. So Kaitlyn's trip to Virginia was fairly normal. Her family said that she was in good spirits and she was very excited to meet her nephew. The night before Kaitlyn was due to leave, she ended up hanging out with two friends from high school. These two friends were now a couple, and they ended up drinking and playing some games, even though they were underage. Kaitlyn even stayed at their house that evening since she did not have a designated driver to help her get back home after drinking. So that was a very smart decision on her part. So that was December the 4th that they hung out, and on December the 5th, 2015, Kaitlyn had a flight at 5:40 in the evening. She was flying out of the Ronald Reagan Washington Airport. It's a hard word to say. The Ronald Reagan Washington Airport, which is in D.C. The airport was about an hour's drive from her home in Spotsylvania County. And since Kaitlyn did not rent a car when traveling home, she had to rely on others to get her to and from the airport during her trip. Kaitlyn's mother, whose name was Lisa Sullivan, was unable to take Kaitlyn to the airport on the 5th because she had to work on that Saturday. Lisa decided that Kaitlyn's stepfather, James Branton, would take her to the airport. James and Lisa were no longer together, but James and Kaitlyn by all means still got along, and Kaitlyn's father had left her at the age of 3, and she did not have a relationship with her biological So the closest father figure in her life was still her ex-stepfather, James Branton. So the morning of the 5th, since Lisa had to go into work, she dropped Kaitlyn off at James's house just after 9 o'clock. James lived in Partlow, Virginia. When Lisa dropped Kaitlyn off at James's house, she walked her inside. James was very excited to see Kaitlyn. They were discussing her upcoming start date for her cosmetology school, and they were also talking about her high school diploma, which was lying out on the couch next to her luggage. Lisa ended up leaving for work, and both James and Kaitlyn were in good spirits. James also had to work on this Saturday, but not until 3 in the afternoon. So it was decided that he would drop Kaitlyn off at the airport earlier so that he could arrive at work on time. Since there was about an hour's drive to the airport, this meant Kaitlyn should be arriving to the airport around 2 o'clock, even though her flight wasn't set until closer to 5:30. So they hung out for the day, and then when heading to the airport, Kaitlyn asked if she could be dropped off at the mall, which was just a short distance away from the airport. Remember, the airport was in Washington, D.C., so the mall was only 2 metro stops away from the airport, so getting from the mall to the airport should not have been that difficult. James said that Kaitlyn wanted to spend some of the time at the mall before heading to the airport, as she didn't want to arrive too early. So just before 2 o'clock, James texted Kaitlyn's mother, Lisa, and he said, "I dropped Kaitlyn off." She replied with, "Okay, thank you. How was traffic?" James stated, "Not bad." Shortly after James and Lisa spoke via text, Lisa received a message from Kaitlyn saying, "I'm at the airport. Battery dying, so won't be able to text for a bit." At this point, Lisa did not even know that Kaitlyn had actually been dropped off at the nearby mall. Shortly after hearing from Kaitlyn, Lisa heard from Kaitlyn's fiance, Amber. Amber had reached out to Lisa saying that something was wrong with Kaitlyn. Earlier in the day, around 12 p.m., Amber had received a text from Kaitlyn saying, "Something came up. I'm not coming back today. I'll I'll let you know when I get a new flight. I won't be able to text for a bit. Lisa grew extremely concerned and explained to Amber that Kaitlyn was already supposedly at the airport, so there was no way that she was going back to Arizona on a different day unless something unexpected had happened to her flight. Immediately, both Lisa and Amber began to call Kaitlyn, but for some reason Kaitlyn was not answering her phone. Lisa grew more and more concerned, but since the airport was not nearby and she was at work, she kind of put everything on hold and assumed that Kaitlyn would reach out to her once her flight and stuff had been taken care of. She assumed at this point that there was an issue with the flight or that she was already on the plane back to Arizona. Just after 7 p.m. that evening, Kaitlyn finally texted Lisa, this time saying, "I'm staying with a friend," and then a follow-up text saying, "I need some alone time." At this point, Lisa again tried to call Kaitlyn, but it seemed as though Kaitlyn's phone had been turned off as it kept going straight to voicemail. At this point, Lisa knew that Kaitlyn had for sure missed her flight, as she should have been en route to Arizona at 7 o'clock. Lisa was also very concerned as the text messages that were supposedly from Kaitlyn did not seem similar to her normal writing. Usually Kaitlyn used a lot of emojis, and she would not send more than one text message back to back. Shortly after this last text, Lisa heard from Kaitlyn's fiance Amber once again. Amber had just received an alarming message from Kaitlyn via Facebook Messenger. Kaitlyn told Amber through the message that she couldn't come back to Arizona because she had cheated on her. Amber told Lisa that the style of writing did not seem to fit that of Kaitlyn, and she was unsure why everything seemed so off. Kaitlyn and Amber had been getting along just fine, and for Kaitlyn to just up and cheat on Amber seemed very strange. Now I know they were younger, but it just seemed very off, especially since they had remained friends for so long, and then they had held a long distance relationship for quite some time before finally being able to be together in person. At this point, Lisa decided to speak to James, but he insisted that he dropped Kaitlyn off. Lisa was unaware that James had dropped Kaitlyn off outside of the airport at the mall until James finally brought it up. Lisa was extremely upset with James for dropping Kaitlyn off at the mall, saying that Kaitlyn would not have known how to get to the airport via the subway, as she had not been to DC that often, nor had she ridden on the subway since she was a little kid. That seemed a bit strange to me. I would assume that since she's 19, she should hopefully be able to figure out, and since it was only 2 straight stops away, and she did not need to change to a different subway system, I think she could have been okay. So 2 days after Lisa had last heard from Kaitlyn, it was December 7th, 2015. Since Lisa was unable to get into contact with Kaitlyn, she decided to file a missing persons report with the police. While she was in the middle of filing the report at the police station, the police received a phone call saying that a crew of road workers had found Kaitlyn's suitcase that was packed for the airport alongside the road in a ditch just outside of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Where the suitcase was located was just a few miles away from where James lived. This was still about an hour away from the airport Kaitlyn was supposedly dropped off at. Inside the suitcase, the police found Kaitlyn's ID, her credit cards, some cash, and it appeared as though her cell phone and her high school diploma were missing. After observing the luggage, the police determined that it was most likely thrown from a moving vehicle, as it had busted and was scuffed in several places. At first, the police believed that Kaitlyn possibly ran away, and they did think that maybe she had cheated on her fiancé Amber, and this is what caused her to leave unexpectedly. Amber was insistent, saying that they were a happy couple and that there was no way Kaitlyn would have cheated on her. Eventually, the police took notice of this, and they were able to look at Kaitlyn's cell phone records. They immediately realized that something fishy was going on. The police found that as Kaitlyn had texted Lisa saying she was at the airport, her phone had actually pinged at a location about 30 miles away from the airport, which was very far from where James claimed to drop Kaitlyn off. After seeing this, the police decided to search James's phone records, and they found that when James and Lisa texted about Kaitlyn being dropped off, that his cell phone pinged off a tower nearby his home, he was also nowhere near the airport. The police grew extremely concerned with this information, and they found that when Kaitlyn texted Lisa at around 7 p.m. saying she was staying with a friend, that she was actually located in Stafford County, just a few miles from where her suitcase was discovered later on. The police questioned James, but he stuck to his story. He said that he had gone to work afterwards, but when the police followed up with James's work to see if he had an alibi, they found that James did not show up to work on Saturday the 5th. The police also found that James apparently never showed up at that job ever again. As time went on, James did not have a job, and he did not work for nearly half a year. And when he did return to work, he started at a brand new company. The police asked James if they could question him, and they asked him to take a polygraph test. At first, James agreed, but shortly after he agreed, he got a lawyer and decided to not take the polygraph in the end. He also would not give the police the password to his cell phone, which was encrypted. Eventually, the police received a search warrant for James's home, but they were unable to find any clues there that were related to Kaitlyn's disappearance. So that's pretty much it. It is such a sad case to have to read all of this. And James has never been charged with anything. I'm not sure why the police can't get a search warrant to see what else is on his cell phone, or if maybe they have and they just didn't find anything. But it seems pretty clear and evident to me that James was somehow involved with Kaitlyn's disappearance. I don't think that Kaitlyn would have just chosen to run away, especially after having such a great visit with her family and her friends. She seemed very excited to get back to Arizona and probably would have stayed longer in Virginia had she not had to start cosmetology school. She also left her cash in her suitcase, and I think if she was really running away, that she would have most likely taken that with her. I get, if someone runs away, I get not taking your cell phone, I get not taking your credit or your debit cards if you don't want to leave a trail, but you would most likely take all the cash that you brought on hand. So yeah, I think that definitely James had something to do with it, and Kaitlyn's mom, Lisa, agrees. She has tried to speak with James and has even written several letters begging him to come forward with whatever information he may have. Now, I'm not saying anything intentional has been done in this case, but I feel like he has to know something that happened to Kaitlyn. So, that is all for the case this evening. I wanted to share this one with you guys just in the hopes that in the near future we will all receive some justice and some answers for Kaitlyn's family. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day or evening. Goodbye.